welcome back for another
Wood Stove Wednesday.
BAM! Alright, so today, in this Wood Stove Wednesday, we're going to talk about... What are we going to talk about?
You didn't tell me.
It's a surprise. Surprise! What we're going to talk about is what not to say if you ever come to visit Alaska.
Oh.
Have you ever had experiences with people? She used to work for a helicopter company that flew tourists up on a glacier when she was a kid.
I did.
So did you ever have any experience with
Yes.
people saying
I
odd
did.
things?
Yes. They asked me all the time if we accepted American currency.
This is a state of America. So yes, don't ask if we accept American currency because we do. But do we accept Canadian currency?
Canadian coins.
We accept Canadian coins.
Yep.
You bring your paperbacks, psh, take that back across the border, son.
Let's see. Another one was, why is the glacier so dirty and why don't we clean it?
Why is the glacier so dirty?
It's just, I don't know.
Well, the glaciers... let's think about this for a second. Let's break this down. The glacier is like a mountainside. You wouldn't go up on the side of a mountain and like with a dustpan and a broom to remove the dirt. It's a glacier. When it goes forward or goes backward, it brings sediment up with it. So
And the wind and rain and...
yeah, it's a little dirty. Sorry. It's nature. It's like, why is there dirt on the ground? Because it's nature.
Yep.
So no, they don't clean the glacier.
Yep.
Don't ask.
And another thing was the tourists, for some reason, I'm not sure, they would always say, gosh, you guys must be such, what would they say?
Oh, because there's mountains all around here?
Oh, yeah, they would say, you guys must be such high altitude.
Yeah, because you just got off a cruise ship.
Yeah. I was like, there's the water right there.
Yeah, so if you take a cruise through Alaska and you get off your cruise ship and get onto the dry land, you're at sea level.
You're the lowest you can go.
Well, you could go lower. You could go lower. What was that in Louisiana when the dikes failed and it flooded everything because they were below sea level?
Oh.
I don't remember what town that was. So, yeah. What else is there?
What have you heard?
I made a list, and here's how it goes. Where from Wasilla can you see Russia?
Huh.
Can you see Russia from Wasilla?
Not that I know of.
No. But the former governor and vice president runner, Sara Palin, had made in a speech once that you could see.
No.
I can see Russia from my backyard.
No, they did not.
It was
Are
a
you
figure of speech, not
Okay.
to be taken literally. So you can't see Russia from Wasilla. Just saying. This isn't typically a tourist question, but it is kinda. But most tourists come in the summertime because nobody wants to bear the brute winter of Alaska. But if you do come in the winter, the northern lights aren't cued on demand. So if you say, that's what I've heard a lot of people say, when do the northern lights come out? Well, they come out when there's a big solar flare. If there's not a solar flare, they're not coming out.
Yep.
True that, double true.
And we never see them here.
And so
Rarely.
we're further down south, but we're also in a rainforest. And so 9 times out of 10 when we get a huge solar flare and the aurora is supposed to be like awesome,
It's foggy and
yeah,
rainy.
it's cloudy. We don't get to see it.
It's,
But we do get to see it on occasion.
yeah,
And when we go to Fairbanks, we get to see them in the wintertime.
that's true.
So if you're wanting to know where the penguins are at,
Not in Alaska.
penguins aren't in Alaska. No.
That's cute.
This is the Arctic,
Mm-hmm.
and the penguins are in the Antarctic. But we do have polar bears, but not where we live.
No,
You got to go a little further up north
a lot up north.
to see some polar bears. When do the caribou turn into moose?
I've not heard that one. Do people ask that sometimes?
That's a question. So moose and caribou are two different species. I think they're both part of the deer family, but a caribou is a caribou.
That's
A
cute.
moose is a moose. They don't morph into. I choose you, Pikachu.
That's cute.
Another question and I do get this question.
Okay.
Does it stay cold in Alaska year round? If you ask my mother, yes. Yes, it does. But it different. So in where we live in the southeast, our fluctuation is not very great between winter and summer. So in the winter months, we'll get like our normal's like 20 to 40. That's where we stay. And then in the summer months, we go from 40 to 70. So that's where we stay. But when you go to in the interior, like Fairbanks, they go from negative 50 to
Like
90
8. Yeah,
degrees
that's
in
crazy.
the summertime. So
That's
they
crazy.
have a huge difference between their summer and their winter
So it really
temperature. Yeah.
depends on where you go. It could be different so many places.
That's
for
why
sure.
even in the summertime you'll see us wearing like hoodies and stuff because sometimes it's in the low 40s and it's summertime though.
Low 40s?
Sometimes at night.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
I'm not making this up. Hey, you know what? I don't know if this is on here, but why don't I don't know if this is on my list. I made a little list, but I don't know if this is on there or not. But I'm going to ask the question, why don't people in Juneau, being that we're in a rainforest and it rains almost every day, why don't we use umbrellas?
Who wants to use an umbrella?
Are we too proud?
Because we got rain jackets. Everybody has raincoats.
You know, and I thought about this, and I think because we get so much wind in the winter and in the summer, because, you know, we got Gatineau Channel right at downtown Juneau.
Gas no
And-
winds.
Yeah, and so I think that people just maybe used umbrellas at one point in time, and then after their umbrellas got...
I think if anybody uses an umbrella, we know they're tourists. So.
So I have seen a apparatus that I might start implementing. If you haven't seen Almost Homestead's channel, he shot a video the other day and he was working out in the rain. And dude, he had a umbrella hat, and I was like, genius, mama.
I think that sucker would get ripped right off your head on our island.
My umbrella. It'd be like, Winston, I'm sorry.
Tell me.
Do you know Sara Palin?
Oh God, no.
Now, I moved up here after the Sara Palin fallout, so I don't know why everybody hates Sara Palin. I know she has drama with her family. She's like maybe the Alaska version of the Kardashians, with all the drama going on with her family.
Probably.
Like, I don't know. I don't know why they hate Sara Palin, but I love Sara Palin.
You do not. He does not.
Is Alaska a state?
Yes, it is.
Are you sure?
It's 49th state.
49th state? What's the 50th state?
Hawaii.
Very good. Do you know when it became a state?
1959.
59.
Stupid.
Alaska became a state in 1959. That's really crazy to think about.
It's way later.
Because, I mean, like, my mom and dad were alive before Alaska became a state. That's why it's the last frontier, yo. Dude, seriously, if you followed us on Facebook, I posted a little article that came straight out of the Juneau Empire. And so it's a tragic story. A guy was crossing the highway, Egan Drive, and he got struck by a car.
Oh, and his dog too.
And him and his dog both died. So the police and one state trooper blockaded
Cordoned off.
Yeah, the accident while they were investigating.
On the highway.
On the highway.
We only have one highway.
Well, there's just basically one road that goes from like east to west.
Yes.
And that's Egan Drive. So while they have the road blocked off, here comes a guy, and this is Juneau, right? This ain't like out in the boondocks. While they got it blocked off, a guy just blares through it, drunk as a skunk. So they arrest him for drinking and driving. Okay, I'm not done there. No, you think that's something? No, that happens every day. So here's what doesn't happen every day. Guy walks up, and they tell him to walk around. State trooper tells the guy to walk around. This guy pulls out a knife. He goes, I ain't walking around.
They arrested his butt too.
He went to jail.
That's a day in the life of Juneau.
Alaska, the last frontier. What time? I don't know if I get this question a lot, but what time zone is Alaska in?
It has its own time zone, doesn't it?
It's got its own time zone. So you got the Pacific time zone, and then 1 hour behind that is the Alaska time zone. So, yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that either till I moved up here. I was like, why am I an hour behind Seattle? Because
we got
our own time zone. And to be honest, it really should be several time zones, but it's not. But I don't care, because guess what? I'm a firm believer that they should get rid of the daylight savings times and just go with the flat time. I mean, Arizona did it. A lot of other states are starting to do it. Alaska should do it too, because there's nothing worse than your dog wanting to get up at 6 o'clock to get fed, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, it's 6 o'clock. I'm like, no, dog, it's 5 o'clock.
Is that really why you want to?
He's like, it's 6 o'clock. No, it's 5 o'clock. I want to be fed now.
Oh, jeez.
Do people live in igloos?
No igloos here.
I'm sure somewhere somebody lives in an igloo. But if you watch our channel, you know we don't live in an igloo. Although in the wintertime, they have big ice sculpting competitions in the interior, not here. And they make little ice igloos out there. But no, typically people don't live in igloos. Not even in the coldest regions of Alaska. I think igloos are a thing of the past, like the stagecoach. Yeah. What was that video game when you were a little kid? I never played it, like Oregon Trail. Is that what it's called, Oregon Trail?
Yep.
Boom. All that's in the past. No igloos here. So, here's a fact that Juneau is landlocked. So it's surrounded by mountains, glaciers on one side, and then the ocean on the other side.
Yep.
There's two ways in, boat and plane.
Yep.
But here's some questions that people ask when they're like, hey, we're going to go on a hunting trip. And they're like, well, if there's no airports there, how are we going to get there? Well, because in Alaska they have two things they call bush planes and float planes. And so the float planes just land right on the water. They got two big pontoons that they use as landing gear, and it floats, so they just get right on the water. And your dad was even saying they were fishing one time and a float plane came down, landed. Guy jumped out on one of his floats and threw out his fishing rod.
Decided to take a break.
And the other is bush planes, and those are just tiny little like single prop like Cessna type planes, but they have tires about. They're like big Super Duty, like mudding tires. So yeah, they can pretty much land wherever they want. Obviously not in the water, but. And they also fit these planes with skids in the wintertime, so they can not the beavers like the seaplanes, but the bush planes. They fit skids on them so they can land on snow and ice.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
True Alaskan. I never heard this before, but I read it online and I decided to throw it in there. Don't all those barrels going through the pipeline make a whole lot of noise?
All what?
The pipeline.
All the oil?
Yeah, all the oil barrels.
Wait, no. Did somebody really think that?
It's online. I'm not saying that everything online's true, but
Oh, that's funny.
it would make sense if you put the oil in the barrels and then send the barrels down the pipeline.
That's silly.
Oil just goes in. Then when the oil gets to the final destination, then they put it in the barrels. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So we also had we wanted to talk a little bit about our last week's video, and that was when we put the winch on the
Four-wheeler?
on the four-wheeler. Yeah. So there was a couple of things that was brought up, and I just wanted to clarify a little bit. Our little flappy, we're taking that off, not to worry, but it was never in danger of getting sucked up inside the winch because the lead coming out of the four-wheeler was far enough out that thing was just kind of dangling like this. I don't know why this makes a dangle.
Angle of the dangle?
The angle of the dangle. And the other thing was we did use a snatch block or a pulley. It went up to a tree on the snatch block and then back down. We even used a tree hugger because we're environmentally safe like that. No, actually because we want that tree to last because that's the tree that we use as our anchor.
Definitely.
So we don't want to kill it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. The winch itself, I said that we paid $800 for the winch, but really the winch was $500. But we had to pay $200 for shipping. They had some winches here in town, so even though this is the state capital, we don't have a huge supply of. This isn't like your typical capital or downtown or any big city. We have a very limited supply of what we can get here. Mm-hmm. And so they had some off-brand winches that I could have paid like $300 for, but having Jeeped for at least 10, 12 years, I've ran through a few winches, and after I bought a Warren winch, that was the last winch I ever bought because it just never quit. I mean, it's like a fail-safe.
They do good winches.
They do good winches, and they're made right here in America.
All right.
All right, so now it's time for us to pick a commenter of the week, and the commenter of the week goes to Birdie315, who is also a fellow Alaskan, and he lives up in the interior, and he said, "Great video, man. That sure is one pretty winch. Love it. Mm-hmm. Thinking about installing one of those to load logs onto my mill. Have a great week." Awesome. Thanks, Birdie.
Thank you.
315. You the man. If you want to be commenter of the week, what do you got to do?
Got to comment on our videos.
Boom. That's it. Thank you guys for watching.
If you like us, give us a thumbs up.
Click the subscribe button.
Bye.
Who do you think you are, Mr. Commenter? Hey guys, we are Brian and Diana. Shut your dirty mouth.